Hello, I'm Jonathan from Shooting Stuff. Shooting Stuff stocks Lyman products in South Africa. They're available online on our website at shootingstuff.co.za or in store at our shop in Centurion. Today I'm going to show you how to set up the Lyman Pro Dies in 40 Smith & Wesson. I'm going to set up the dies on Lyman's All-American 8 turret press. It's a nice convenient system that can accept 8 dies. We'll start off today setting up the 40 Smith & Wesson, and in a later separate video we're going to add 2 to 3 to illustrate the versatility of the dies and the press. This video is not about load development. It's just about the dies and how easy it is to get them set up and dialed in for your favorite load. We'll do a separate video on load development for my Glock 22 in 40 Smith & Wesson, and I'll explain all of my reasonings in that video. To start off, we need the correct shell holder for 40 Smith & Wesson, which is number 15 in the Lyman set. This set contains all the popular shell holders that you need for the most popular calibers, and they're all available individually from Shooting Stuff. So with the shell holder inserted, I've kept the priming system removed from this press just so that it's a little bit easier to see what's going on as I do the load development, and we'll prime the cases separately. I've got a couple of 40 Smith & Wesson used cases that we'll be loading today. They've been through the roll sizer just to get them pre-processed, and I've already lubricated them. So we're going to start off with our sizing die. It should be this one. To install this sizing die, we first lower the handle, screw the die down until it touches on the shell holder, and snug up the lock ring. It's as easy as that. First case, out pops the primer, and we've got a freshly sized 40 Smith & Wesson case. The next die I'm going to install is the case flare die. I do this with a case in the system, lower the handle, and I screw in the die until I feel it's now contacting the case quite firmly. What I want to see is that my bullet goes into the case quite nicely. So this has just got enough expansion on. I'm going to give it a fraction more, and then I'm going to lock it up. If you are using a bullet feeder and you need that second stage, you're going to need to seat the die a lot further until that second stage of expansion also takes place. I'm going to take a fresh case through both of these, resize, index, and so the case has been expanded with a little bit of a flare to allow the bullet to be guided into the case. Nice and easy. Bullet seating is the third step. And I do all of this before adding any powder or primers to make sure that everything runs smoothly and there's no mess. I screw this down until again it touches onto the shell plate. And now I look for the graduation rings on the micrometer, and I rotate the die out of the system until the graduation rings are at a convenient position, typically in front of where you're going to be loading. Snug the lock ring down, lock it up, and seat a bullet. I can feel that bullet hasn't been seated, so I'm screwing the micrometer down, and there I'm starting to get some positive engagement. And that was already very well seated. Let's see where we got to. 27.8 is a bit shorter than I want. So we're going to go out a full millimeter, which is 60 thousandths of an inch, 20, 40, 60 thousandths of an inch, and let's go another 20 for luck. And the other prepared case, much longer, and 29.8 millimeters. My desired length for this load is 29.25. 29.2 is going to be good. So we want to go in 20 thousandths. It's about half a millimeter. It's 29.3. Let's go in another 5 thousandths. .2 millimeters. I'm loading this ammo slightly longer than the SAMI specification, having tested that it works in my pistol for slightly more reliable feeding from the magazine into the chamber. The final die is the micrometer adjustable crimp die. Make sure the micrometer is set long. Start it in, lower the handle, and I screw it in until touching the shell plate, and then back it off until the micrometer graduation is at a convenient viewing position. Snug up the lock ring, and then take the case that was previously had a bullet seated in. Everything is still inert, and now I screw this in until I feel resistance, and then I know the taper crimp is just starting to apply a bit of pressure. I can see it is still not quite there. Go in another 5 thou or so. That's a nice small amount. It's definitely got an improvement, and I could feel a slight resistance pulling the case out of the die. So let's go in a little bit more. There's a definite resistance and a slight overcamming I can feel, and a slight click as I remove the case. One last one through the whole process. A lubricated case, resize, deprime, expand the case mouth, index to accept a bullet, seat the bullet. It is correct at 29.2 millimeters, and I'm going to measure the case mouth, 10.68, with the flare still applied, and after crimping, .67, ever so slightly smaller. I will give it another little bit. That's a much clearer click coming out, and I can see a slightly shiny ring right around the top edge of the case mouth, probably about 0.2 millimeters in width. Not more than half a mil is what you want, and then you know you're crimping positively. So measuring right on the case mouth, now 10.66, so I've definitely gone down. Setting up the Lyman dies is really quick and easy. Let's take it one more step and load a few rounds. Two, 3, 4, 5, and 1 spare. Flaring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a spare. After flaring the cases, it's time to install primers. I just check to make sure that the primer is in fact seated flush. You don't want the primer to be proud at all. It must be flush or slightly below flush. After priming the cases, it's time for powder. MP200, don't call, it's not available yet. I haven't been shooting a lot, so I've still got a little bit left. 5.2 grains on the Lyman Gen 6 auto trickle. Do I need it to be this precise? No, but it's convenient. One of the big advantages of the turret press system is that you can do a couple of functions on one case at a time. 5.2 grains. Choose the bullet. Seat, crimp, looking good. If I wanted, I could fill all the cases with propellant first, and then go through the seating process, but that would be far too boring for everybody to watch. So you get the pleasure of watching me fill cases and load just 6 rounds, so we can test and evaluate them a little bit later. Okay. 6 rounds loaded with my development load at 29.2 millimeters, nicely crimped, 5.2 grains of MP200. This is my load for my gun. Don't copy it without going through proper load development yourself. We've seen today how easy it is to set up the Lyman Pro Dies in pistol calibers, whether it's on a single stage system, a turret system, or a progressive press. Very simple and straightforward process to follow. Shooting Stuff stocks all of this Lyman reloading equipment, including these Pro Dies. They're available online at shootingstuff.co.za or in our store in Centurion. Come and chat with the experts at Shooting Stuff for all of your reloading needs. Shooting Stuff, giving you more time to shoot.